Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today's video I'm going to be telling you guys how I do my drawing process step by step in detail, start to finish, how I basically create my illustrations. For those who are new to my channel, hello, my name is Veda, also known as Saku and sakuraopal here on the internet. I've been posting about my art journey for a very long time, and I'm also currently an animation student and a freelance illustrator. I've been working on illustrating for different events and also books and other projects I can't disclose yet, but more things are coming, I promise. Yeah, since I've been drawing for so long, I kind of had a lot of time, and throughout the years I've been really refining my drawing process, and now I've finally come to the point where I think it's like kind of similar. Of course, each drawing itself has a different process, so of course every person will have a different drawing process too, so this is just my own drawing process. And yeah, without further ado, the drawing I'll be showing you guys today is ta-da! It's called Flight, 飞行 in Cantonese. I'll talk more about it later, but this is basically a little tribute to my home. And yeah, by the way, announcement, if you are in Hong Kong, 如果大家喺香港嘅話，7月22到7月28號 K11 Musea 尖沙咀我會擺檔3樓嘅市集。呢幅畫呢，我會出一個 A3 限量嘅海報，而呢個海報淨係會響市集嗰陣賣嘅。我都會出埋一個 A4 嘅文件夾 version， 文件夾就會係 both我嘅網店同埋市集都會出現嘅，所以大家快啲嚟尖沙咀，我希望可以見到大家。Hope to see you there. Anyways, let's get started about talking about my process. So I think my process can be summarized like most drawings in 3 big steps. The first one is conceptualization / sketching, number 2 is line art, and number 3 is color, shading, and textures. So the conceptualizing stage. In this stage, I really think about the purpose or the intention of why I am doing this illustration. So for this piece specifically, I wanted to, number 1, pay a tribute to my home because I've been away for so long, so I really wanted to draw Hong Kong again, and I've kind of found appreciation for my home. Number 2 is also I wanted to put in like a nostalgia, childhood memories factor into the drawing, and number 3, hopefully I get to bring some sort of warmth and comfort to the audience that will see this drawing. And yeah, those are the 3 main purposes for this drawing. For the inspiration for this drawing, I usually go on Pinterest or Google. I just search for a bunch of reference pictures. This piece specifically is inspired by a few things. Number 1 is flight / flying chess, 飞行 K in Cantonese, and it's basically the most classic childhood chess board game you would play here. And number 2 is the Kai Tak Airport, which is served as a very significant part of Hong Kong. It was demolished in 1998, and this is really iconic to Hong Kong culture because it's known as like a very dangerous airport, but it was just so iconic because the airport was located right next to the city, so every plane would almost come in contact with the buildings, which is kind of crazy and kind of dystopian to think about, and also inspires so many movies and popular media stuff, which I've been researching for future videos. Spoilers. Yeah, it's also known as like a chessboard approach, the plane, so it's fitting because this is flying chess. And number 3 is just I wanted to draw Hong Kong things, so a lot of Hong Kong buildings. The Kai Tak Airport is set in Kowloon City, and if this rings a bell to you by any chance, you probably heard of the Kowloon Walled City, which is also a very iconic and famous part of Hong Kong, but no longer exists as well. But Kowloon City still exists, so this is more inspired by that. Kowloon Walled City is a whole nother story within itself. But yeah, if you're interested, just go Google it. It's cool stuff. Yeah, so those are the main inspirations for this drawing. And ideas come and go all the time. A lot of it comes from when I take a walk or when I'm about to sleep, just very random, but I really leave a mental note in my head whenever I was like, that's a cool idea I want to draw. I'll keep it in my head, and when I'm free, like today, and I have this opportunity, especially because I'm boothing and I want to make something cool, here comes a chance I get to draw one of my ideas. So yeah, that's the conceptualizing stage. Now let's move on to the sketching stage. When I'm sketching, I think about a few things. Number one is the composition. This is very important to really make aesthetically pleasing piece to the audience. So really think about your rule of thirds, your focal point, and how you can do to really enhance that focal point. A lot of it is with directional lines, a lot of it is just how the objects are placed on your canvas, and a lot of it is the values, which I'll talk more about in the coloring stage. Yeah, so once I really figure it out, especially with the perspective too, which I'll talk more about later, it was time to then move this sketching to the line art stage. The line art stage is the longest stage in my drawing process because, especially this piece, the line art itself took like 9 hours, okay? Like, drawing takes a long time. I'm not here to hide that, yeah, drawing is so easy, I just left a pen and my illustration is complete. No, this drawing took a really long time. By the way, stay to the end to me revealing how long it took to do this entire piece. So after having this rough sketch, it was then time to draw, and to really draw, I first need to figure out what the perspective is. Lately, I've been thinking more about like these bigger scale, like more tricky angled perspective ones. So this, I used the drawing guide on Procreate, how I really figured it out, where the horizon line is, where my vanishing points is. And when you turn on drawing assist for your layers, then I get to like kind of vaguely sketch out the boxes of where each building is gonna go, but in the correct perspective. And then when I actually really do the line art myself, I use that as a guide, and then I looked at a lot of references, kind of use like those image to imagine it into the perspective I wanted to, with the help of the box as well. Hong Kong buildings are fun to draw, but they're also such a pain to draw because they have so much detail. Do you know how cramped, do you know how many people live in the same building in Hong Kong? So there's so many windows, there's so many water pipes, there's so many like, I don't know, air cons and people hanging their clothes, and you know, so that was, it took a really long time, but it was fun, and I think that added a lot of texture, and it also kind of makes what Hong Kong building is unique for, so I can't really complain. But that took a really long time, and it's also old and crusty, so I tried adding a lot of like line textures to it too. So when I figure out the line art, the biggest part is also the line weight. I think for me, I kind of keep a consistent line weight. The things in the back do have a smaller brush size though. Things in the foreground I do like just by a little, but that's basically it. I know there are artists out there who like changing their line weight depending on where there is shadow. That is not my cup of tea for this drawing specifically, just because it's already so detailed. So yeah, that was my line art stage, and now let's move on to the coloring stage. But not coloring, this is the color planning stage, the color script stage. Ever since I really started to be fascinated by how color palettes work and really playing around and really learning about colors, this step has been part of my workflow, and it's basically me just testing out what color palette works best. For this piece, I was thinking, since I was doing the flying chest, which has the red, yellow, green, blue colors, I wanted to use those for colors as the main basis, so the illustration itself, like Hong Kong, looks like it exists on the chessboard. Yeah, but also kind of still add like a kind of nostalgic feeling to it, so like the color palette isn't like very high contrast, except for the main characters, Don and Vivian. Yes, but they're my second year colored film characters. I'm kind of emotionally attached to them, so I like drawing them, so they're there in my drawing. I've made a whole video about color, so if you want to check out, that will be useful, because there's too many things to talk about in this video. I just kind of use this process to figure out how I would shade it really quickly, just like blotching on the colors. And then I also test out the different layer modes. It's literally just trial and error. There is no formula, and to figure out the ones I want. And yeah, and then I mark down maybe if I'm going to use these layer effects, like which one I'll use and which colors they are and what the opacity is. And then I move on to the actual coloring stage. For this is literally just like cleaning it up and really using my color scripted like palette that I made for myself to put it into the actual piece, but of course within the lines like a little coloring book. And yeah, that was pretty fun. So for this piece there's a lot of detail, but I didn't want the detail to overshadow to two main characters in the drawing, so I kind of used the monochrome palette within the color palette. For example, like there's like a yellow building in the front, so all the detail inside is yellow too, but a different shade of yellow, so it's like not too distracting from the main characters. And yeah, that's the coloring. And now let's move on to the shading and the texture. This is probably one of the most crucial parts to my drawings and what makes my style unique. There's a lot of cool texture brushes that come default on Procreate, so I recommend those. And of course there's a lot you can download online too. And yeah, basically I figure out where the lighting is, so that's very important. And when I was testing out the color script, I kind of already figured out I wanted the lighting to be behind Vivian, which is the girl. Yeah, and it's kind of and there's going to be a strong cast shadow on her because I think this piece will be set in the afternoon, so not like noon, but like in the afternoon, so it's like the sun is a bit not on top but like, you know, on the side, so it's like shining directly. There's diagonal shadow, cast shadow on her. And yeah, and just figuring out how the light would interact with all the objects on the canvas and figuring it out. There's also soft shading and cell shading. Yeah, so basically use like an airbrush or an airbrush in JSON with more textures for like that softer shading, but then also having a harsher lighting by really adding like a cell shading, like the little bits like what do you see in anime usually, you know, like those types of shading. So I try to incorporate both, especially because this piece there's going to be a strong cast shadow, and I've been like doing a lot of cast shadow recently because I just think I used to only draw soft shadows, like not very strong lighting, so I wanted to play with that a little. And yeah, because I wanted this piece to feel very warm to my audience, that's why there's a very strong sunlight. So it's like warm and cozy, even though probably the two characters are very hot, like how it's super hot in Hong Kong right now. But yeah, that's kind of it for the textures. And at the end, I like slapping on a lot of gradients with the layer effects. And literally my best advice to give for layer effects, because I was overwhelmed when I first started, is just to use trial and error. There is no other way. Just have fun and just really take your time, especially if you're not rushing for deadlines. That being said though, I will give you my favorite layer effects, like my biases. So my bias is difference for shading, and my bias trigger for shading would probably be luminosity. Actually, there's just so many I kind of use, like every drawing has a different layer mode because I'm literally just using trial and error. And for lighting though, like especially for highlights, I think add color dodge and pin light is also really good. And I also like lighter color too. I'm biased. I have so many biases, but that's that. I guess she's a multi-stan. Two other things I look for when shading is number one, surface scattering, which is when really strong sunlight comes in contact with an object, and if the object is not fully opaque, like usually that's the case, like there will be a little bit light shining through. For example, when sunlight hits your hair, like there's like a glowing effect in your hair. And another thing I think about is atmospheric perspective. So basically when things are further away, they're less in value, so they'll be usually a lighter color, so I really figure out that as well. But sometimes I also like doing the opposite. But basically there should be a gradient between the foreground to the background, so that's what I'm thinking of when I shoot things as well. Yeah, and at the end, since I bought a watercolor brush texture pack recently, I wanted to use it in this piece. Yeah, so I slapped that on, and I also at the end I like adding sharpen and a slight chromatic aberration effect to my drawing, so I did that as well. And yeah, that's it for this drawing. That's my full process. This piece I am proud of because I don't think I could even draw this type of drawing a while ago because the scale is just so much bigger than what I'm used to. So I am proud of myself. Yes, let's normalize being proud of our own drawings because I think that's very lacking in this day and age. Yeah, I hope people will like it. I am proud of it myself, and I think at the end of everything, that's all that really matters. Anyways, as I promised, this piece took 17 hours and 33 minutes. The total brushstrokes made is 14,364. Damn. Wow. But yeah, she is my baby. I like calling illustrations my babies. I am a proud mother. What can I say? So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, 如果你喺香港嘅話，7月22到28號，快啲嚟尖沙咀 K11 Museum。I want to be able to meet more of you guys. That's probably my biggest reason like why I like boothing so much, is because I get to talk to you guys and just learn more about my subscribers and fans who support me, and it's really sweet. This drawing will also have a folder coming out, so stay tuned. It's gonna be on my online store. Link is in the description, and that's it. That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly had a lot of fun yapping, and stay tuned for the next video. If you would like to see me yap about illustrations inspired by Leify's songs, click on the end card later. And yeah, I like yapping about drawing, so subscribe if you would like to see more yapping. See you in the next video. A tutorial will be coming out soon. Spoilers for next video. Wow, and it's gonna be cool because it's a video I've been working on for like a month. So okay, bye.